What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for another Top 10 Countdown. This one was made possible by a Patreon supporter. If you would like to find out how you can possibly get a Top 10 done or an album review that you'd really like to see me do that I've never done, then check out that top link in the description down below. It supports the channel and maybe helps you see something that you've been wanting to see all along. My Top 10 favorite brand new songs. Brand New are an emo alternative rock band formed in the year 2000 by Jesse Lacey after he left the band Taking Back Sunday on not so good of terms. A lot of people felt divided, like they had to pick a side. They couldn't listen to both Brand New and Taking Back Sunday. I never really knew about the drama until like a few years ago, so obviously I grew up listening to both. Didn't really care one way or the other, and Brand New played a pretty pivotal role in the discovery of more emotionally in-touch music, something that made me feel a little bit more. And this is definitely an appropriate time, I feel like, to be talking about Brand New, just because each year, whenever fall rolls around, I really find myself listening to a lot of their records. We've all been so patiently waiting for new music from Brand New. It's been since 2009 since we got their fourth studio album, Daisy. I've just gone back, spent this time waiting, just digging through their discography all the way from the more pop-punk leaning Your Favorite Weapon to the fantastic transition album Deja Entendu, and then one of my favorite albums of all time in my top 5, The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me, to just one that's a little bit more jarring but still fantastic in its own right, Daisy, one that I do plan on doing a review for at some point. Brand New's discography is so deep, and if you don't really do a deep dive with this band in terms of some of the lyrical content, a lot of fans have their own theories on some of these songs, then I feel like you're missing out, because honestly, if you just listen to them at surface level, then you're really gonna miss what's going on with these tracks, and the instrumentation just makes it that much more powerful. So no more beating around the bush, let's go ahead and dive straight into this top 10 countdown. Leave a like on this video to let me know that you enjoyed it. You guys have been asking for this one for a very long time. Comment some of your favorites down below, and keep in mind that these are all just my personal choices.
There are more postcards than hooks. I read more maps than books. Feel like every chance to leave is another chance I should have took. Every minute is a mile. I've never felt so hollow. I'm an old abandoned church with broken pews and empty eyes.
I reviewed this record a couple of years ago, and I didn't initially call it a favorite of mine, but it's crazy to see how opinions can evolve and change, especially the more you let something settle in with you. And I love how this track kind of seems to allude to their touring lifestyle and how they've never been a big touring band. Brand New play select live shows, and they have gone out on a couple of recent tours, but I feel like it really burns them out whenever they're out on the road. And that's talked about all throughout this song, and I like the dialect on this track and how it's just kind of reserved. The acoustic guitar is driving this song forward at all times, and that little shuffling drum pattern in the background of the track. It never really gets as explosive as some of their cuts do, but this song still bites hard because you think about just leaving people behind. They can't really get attached to people, and it's very melancholy and kind of depressing, and this is where we really started to see a major shift in terms of like the lyrical content on Brand New records. It went from being a little bit more upbeat with definitely some sad overtones to just being downright depressing whenever you think about some of these tracks. Absolutely love it.
It's only you, but how could I miscalculate? Perfect eyes will have perfect aim.
The No Seatbelt Song was probably the most emotionally in touch and heart-wrenching track on Your Favorite Weapon, their 2001 debut album. And actually, it took me quite a while to get into this record. It wasn't necessarily something that I gravitated toward just because I liked their other records so much, especially Devil and God, Deja. It took me a while to get into Daisy and Your Favorite Weapon, but both of them have become massive favorites for me. And the No Seatbelt Song is just gut-wrenching because it's a breakup song, but it's said in a way like I know that I was kind of the idiot here, maybe I was the douchebag, and Jesse Lacey, honestly, he is a straight-up asshole a lot of the times. He comes across as very cocky and way too confident in some places, but on this track, he just kind of breaks down and says, you know, like, I really need this in my life. I need this relationship. It's only you. You are the only one. Please, can we make this work? And it's kind of humbling to see how he basically gets down on his knees and is praying crying, like begging for this girl to come back, and it's a very, very, very depressing song, and I would really recommend giving it a listen, maybe another chance if you kind of dismiss their early work, like I know some fans, even myself back in the day, did.
Arrest you if I had handcuffs. I'd arrest you if I had the time. I'd wait for you outside the courtroom, taunt you, and all your appeals were declined.
My number 8 pick is a very thought-provoking tune. It's one that was written by the guitarist Vincent Accardi. It's the closer for The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me, and it's one that really fits with the album title because it's a person conflicted. Jesse Lacey obviously still sings on this track, and his voice comes across as very like haunting. They add in a few extra elements on this track. It's very bare bones in spots, but it's got a little bit of a symphonic swell that will pop up here and there mixed in with that guitar, and the way the vocals were presented here are just truly chilling. I like how it's kind of discussing right and wrong, wanting to maybe do the right thing, but it's easier to do the wrong thing and just join in with the crowd. I'd arrest you if I had handcuffs. I'd arrest you if I had the time. Maybe if I had the time to be a better person, I would, kind of alluding to that. And it's just a fantastic track between good and evil, and I feel like a lot of people pass this one over. I hear it talked about maybe somewhat in brand new culture, but in terms of casual fans, this is one that I highly, highly recommend. It's been a favorite for me for years and really worked its way up my list. I know we've talked about songs that are mainly slower in nature up to this point, but rest assured I'm a huge fan of the loud, raging, out of control side of Brand New as well. And You Won't Know is one of the most explosive and empowered moments on the record, The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me. This moment here is kind of talking about maybe an ex-girlfriend, I believe, talking about some things that went down and just kind of talking in a bitter tone to her and speaking to their past selves, maybe what happened with that relationship, and Lacey just cries out, and just the chorus of this track is so impactful as the guitars roar, and you see that like powering the background of this track along with the furious drums. Everything stands out and works so well on this one.
This is the way you wish your voice sounds handsome and smart. Oh, my tongue's the only muscle on my body that works harder than my heart. And it's all from watching TV.
I Am Heaven Sent, Don't You Dare Forget. This is one of the cockiest songs that Brand New have ever brought to the table, and I absolutely love it because it tears into everything. I mentioned the Taking Back Sunday drama earlier, and just think of how relentless and kind of vicious Lacey was with this track. He's talking about how his band is the best in the game, doing everything right. People are coming to their shows, loving their music, and I have to say that he is right over time. Brand New have achieved much more of a longevity and popularity than Taking Back Sunday, but both bands, I know, I still like both of them, but Brand New are definitely tops for me. But there's a particular line on here where he kind of calls out Adam Lazzara of Taking Back Sunday's stuttering problem that he had whenever he was a child, and I'm just like, oh shit. It's still a little bit befuddling to me why these two fan bases try to stir up strife, maybe try to find some sort of a spark, that there's still a ton of drama between these two bands, because at this point, the guys are in their 30s. Both of these bands are still making their own music, doing their own thing. Brand New about to call it quits as a band. I think there's more important things to focus on. Even within this track itself, it's a fantastic moment, one of the most standout moments, and my favorite track on Deja. Something I haven't mentioned up to this point is the fact that Brand New pack a lot of religious references into their tracks. Jesse Lacey is a very conflicted individual whenever it comes to religion, and that is lamented all throughout the band's entire discography. And it comes to kind of a boiling point on tracks like Sync, one that really started grabbing me the more I paid attention to Daisy. Throughout Daisy, we see the practice of both chaos and restraint, and we see the culmination of the two in tracks like Sync, because there is a softer side here, but at the same time it lashes out in a furious rage, especially whenever Lacey is singing things like, "You want to sink and I'm gonna let you. I'm just gonna let you just mire in your own pity, your depression, whatever it is. I tried to give you a helping hand." And he throws in some really, really solid references in this track, alluding to specific things. There's a lot of different theories, even on tracks like this. Really, all of Brand New's songs. There's some crazy fans that are going to tell you a lot of different things. But in all honesty, I love this track just because of how raw and visceral it is. It's very punishing, and it also has like two different sides to it, kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde type thing.
Well, Jesus Christ, I'm alone again. So what did you do those 3 days you were dead? 'Cause this problem's gonna last more than a weekend. Well, Jesus Christ, I'm not scared to die. I'm a little bit scared of what comes after. Do I get the gold chariot? Do I float through the sea?
It shouldn't be any surprise to you at this point that I am a huge advocate and supporter of what I feel like is their best album, The Devil and God Are Raging Inside of Me, and my next 3 picks come from that record, the first of those being Jesus Christ. It fits perfectly with what I was talking about earlier, the changing of seasons and maybe one's life, but also the changing of seasons just like from summer to fall, and I feel like this is a perfect time to be listening to songs and even albums like this. It's one of those moments that I feel like I loop over and over again, just kind of reflecting on certain things and kind of agreeing with Lacey on a lot of what he has to say. Jesus Christ is obviously at points a religious song, Lacey being a religious individual himself, but like I mentioned earlier, being conflicted on a lot of things and questioning, and that's totally okay because I feel like I relate to him so much. Grew up in a Christian home, went to a Christian school, still believes, but also has concerns with like church and all these other things that he sees. And on this track, he's lamenting not just about Jesus Christ and relationships, but he uses it as kind of an exclamation to cry out on certain things. And he says, "Jesus Christ, I'm not scared to die. I'm a little bit scared of what comes after," towards the middle of this track. And I love this guitar tone, so somber, but it really sticks out and helps drive this song, especially like on the outro. It's like looping the whole time, but they threw in a few extra things and it really makes the melody unforgettable. This track is talking about not being afraid to die, like I said, but being a little bit worried, like, do you get the gold chariot? Do I get carried up into the sky? What's gonna happen whenever I die? And being worried about the moment of death. And Brand New, as I talked about recently on an episode of 7 on Sunday, songs about death, Brand New have never been afraid to write about this subject, and so many of their songs reflect on it. And this is one of those moments that seems a little bit more personal than maybe even some of their other tracks that write about other individuals. Once again, I'm going to point you to the video that I did on Beyond ARTV. I did 7 songs about death. It'll be linked in the description down below. I went into a long, detailed description and discussion of this track, Limousine. It was my #1 pick on that list for songs about death. This track is all about the death of a poor, innocent child, and it is so gripping. It starts off slow. It's told from several different perspectives, like maybe even thinking about what the girl would be thinking about. She was just 7 years old. She was the little flower girl, maybe thinking about her own wedding someday. And then thinking from the mother's perspective as she cries out, as the song builds in intensity. It just gets so chaotic and noisy towards the end. It's an amazing explosion. I'm talking euphoric explosion of music, and it's so genius. I have to call these songs genius because that's exactly what they are.
I love you so much that it hurts my head. Don't mind you under my skin. Let your bad parts sing, yeah, your bad parts sing. Life is a test, now I'll get bad marks. The brother riding down my skin. The storm is coming.
Degausser, according to Jesse Lacey, is a track about taking the charge off of something. At least that's what degaussing means to him. And that is pretty close to the technical definition of this track, but I've always loved this one. And as of recent, it's become that much more important to me. There's lines of hate, there's lines of extreme love, there's a lot of passion behind this track, especially as Jesse screams practically some of these lines. It's just boiling up inside of him, and he's really just releasing and letting it out. I like how this track also practices kind of restraint, but at the same time, so much fury.
If I know my friends, they don't swim.
We're finally here at my number one pick. It's At the Bottom off of the record Daisy. This is a song that's probably going to be somewhat hard for me to talk about just because it really makes me feel so many different things. And I'd be lying if I didn't say that brand new songs have definitely brought so many tears to my eyes over the years, but this one hits me like a punch in the stomach almost every single time that I listen to it. I think At the Bottom is easily the best song that brand new have ever done. Everything from the haunting lyrical content that really just makes you feel whatever the singer is feeling, and obviously the instrumental that goes along with it as well. Very dark leaning. I love the guitars on this track, how they kind of loop and build this atmosphere that's just really so inventive and creative. And I love how this track just has line after line that just really just hits you like a sucker punch. There's a lake at the bottom, you'll find all my friends. They don't swim because they're all dead. And then the line that I'm honestly considering getting tattooed on myself just because it is so important to me. We never are what we intend or invent, meaning so many different things, but to me personally, we never are what we're trying to be. Our intentions might be good in places, but we never exactly are doing exactly what maybe we're meant to or else should be doing. We're always falling short no matter what. So that lyric is so important to me. I love how this track kind of builds up a couple of times, teasing you thinking you're getting to the chorus. If I wanted to die before I got old, I should have started some time ago digging that hole. He references their own track, Sick Transit Gloria, Glory Fades, another track that came very close to making my top 10 that talked about wanting to just escape and die young to just avoid all of the suffering and pain that was coming up. And this song is basically just like saying, why didn't I listen to myself? I should have gotten out to avoid this painful death, something that I'm having to go through now, the loss of maybe a loved one. It seems like a relationship, honestly, maybe a wife or something like that, someone you were so attached to. And this track is truly heart-wrenching. It brings me to my knees nearly every single time, and I feel like it's the best moment in brand new's catalog. You guys have no idea how hard it was to narrow that down to 10 songs, but I did it. Those were my 10 favorite brand new songs. Let me know some of your favorites in the comment section down below, maybe your top 5. And keep in mind, these were all just my choices, and it was very hard for me to narrow it down. If you would like to see honorable mentions, they are in the description along with my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of my social media, and more info about this top 10 can be found down there. Thanks so much for watching. If you would like to see a couple of my brand new reviews, you can check those annotations floating below me. And of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave a like on this video because there are more brand new related things coming, and obviously tons of more content right here on ARTV. I will see you guys very soon. Thanks for watching.